of that, I'm like, oh my God, I have got to help other people to have the experience that I had. So when I went back to my friends and my family and said, hey, look, I know I've been doing the accountancy training for nearly, 2.5, 3 years. I'm giving that up to become a hypnotherapist. They thought I had lost my mind. And one of them said, was it some kind of cult? What's this course you've been on? Because they couldn't understand it. I was like, no, you really don't understand. It's a no-brainer decision for me, because if I can save another person from living the life that I lived from the age of arriving here to the age 32, I kind of feel it's almost my duty to do it, because people would often, and I thought it myself, with the childhood I had, there's no way to bounce back from that. Being quiet and shy and introvert, there's no way for me to get in the game and be in life. With all the illness and what was thought to be early onset Alzheimer's, there's no way now that I can be functional in society. And when I discovered that was not true, I was like, man, I've got to show other people how to do this. So again, it wasn't a career choice. I didn't sit down logically and go, well, I think I'm going to give this up and I'm going to, no. I was just like, it's just done. I've just got to do it. And that was in October 2000. And as we sit here today, October will be 19 years that I've been doing that, because it's like, if I can do it, anyone can do it, because there's nothing special about me. And majority of people I meet start from a way ahead of where I was. They're not suicidal. They're not depressed. They didn't have Alzheimer's. They weren't abused. You name it, pile it all in there. Most people don't have, they might have one of those things going on, but most certainly not all of them. And I'm like, if I can do it, anyone can do it, and let's do it.
Wow. I mean, that's inspirational. I mean, I think a theme for you, and I think part of your superpowers really comes from struggle, and it comes from hardship. And that's real. And the fact that you're able to embrace that and make that part of your origin story, I mean, first of all, it makes me connect to you on a completely different level, but it also makes me feel inspired, that whatever hardship, whatever struggle that I've gone through in my life, I need to figure out a way to embrace that. And I need to figure out a way to, I think what you do is to really figure out ways to provide help and to provide value to people. Because what I'm noticing is that you went through hardship in your life, and then you went through some transformation and some sort of self-realization. And then I think an epiphany of wanting to help people. And I think that is, I mean, that's the meaning of life. It's loving others and helping people and sort of learning from our mistakes. So I commend you on that.
And there have been many mistakes, Ruben, trust me. I mean, mistakes still get made to this day, don't get me wrong. And one of the things I'm always saying to people, one of my really big disappointments with personal development, when I put all of that time and money into doing what is called the NLP practitioner, I thought, I'm sorted. No problems. Everything's fine. Life is going to be good from here on in. And don't get me wrong, life is good. However, it didn't make me immune to problems, and it didn't make me immune to the craziness of life. But what it did do gave me bounce back. So my level of resilience is better. My ability to bounce back is better. My ability to pick myself up and, take stock and dust myself off is better. It didn't make me immune to all of those things, but it did mean that my perspective on life and my outlook on life is very different to what it used to be. So I don't know. I mean, when people say to me, is it possible? Because one of the things I used to get when I first started, people will say, oh, I don't think hypnosis works. And I go, you're absolutely right. It won't work for you. And I'll just leave the conversation because it's a part of it is a mindset thing. You've got to be open to it at least. And then from there, I think the world is your oyster.
Hypnosis. Wow. I've got some experience with hypnosis. I sort of accidentally ended up at a conference, a hypnosis conference, and it was not a choice that I made. It was actually my father had learned about something, and he recommended that I go check this out. So, anyways, I get my tickets, and I guess it was a little gift that he gave me, and I show up at this conference, and I felt really weird. It was not something that I was comfortable with. I was definitely a fish out of water. And I'll never forget this, but as this person on stage started to, and I wish I could recall his name, it's maybe a well-known person, but as he started to kind of go through his whole sequence, a lot of it was, believe or not believe, the choice is yours, and he went into a whole session where he hypnotized. We've all seen this before on YouTube, but he hypnotized a group of people on stage. And I'll never forget this, but I started to realize that it was this idea, at least from my perception, it was this idea of suspension of disbelief where, if I want to believe that I'm getting hypnotized, I can proactively make that choice and go become a chicken or go fall asleep or go into whatever realm that either this person wants me to go in or I want to go in or both, really. And that if we sort of just embrace that maybe there's some other realm of possibility that we can realize and sort of potentially benefit from. So, I'm still working that out in my mind. I have not been hypnotized in probably, 10 years. I'm very open to it. I don't know if it's possible over a webinar or a recording like this. Who knows? I'd love to get your feedback, but tell me what hypnosis is to you and, how you feel like it benefit people and really have people understand truly what it is and what it can do for them.
One of the things I always say to people is like, believe it or not, like it or not, you're being hypnotized every single day. Every billboard, every radio ad, every magazine article, every Google ad. If you watch the Super Bowl, why do you think they spend that much money for a 20, 30-second commercial? Because even in showing you those little snapshots, it works. When we first had American Idol, and we've got a version of it here as well called The X Factor. It's only, I say now it's probably been about, 8, 9 years. But prior to that, let's just say 10 years ago, when those shows started, even though Simon Cowell was sat there with his laptop open, the little circle was grayed out. We all knew what that laptop was, but it would all be grayed out. They would have the canister of drink on the table. That would be grayed out. When they first started to have product placement on TV here, in those kind of TV shows and in the soap operas, the program would actually say at the start, this program contains product placement. They would tell the audience. The reason they would tell the audience, that they know the power of the subliminal mind. When you see Simon Cowell lift up that drink, that is a form of mild hypnosis. When you see James Bond whiz across the screen and he's wearing a particular watch, that is a form of mild hypnosis, persuasion, whatever you want to call it.
Omega Master.
There you go. Do you know what I mean? Why would anybody spend that much money to place a product for 5 seconds, 10 seconds? Because they know the power of the human mind is we can pick things up incredibly quickly and then be influenced by that. And I always say to people, look, the difference between because people often say, oh, is it manipulation? I'm like, the difference between what I'm doing and what you might be thinking it is that I am hypnotizing people to have and achieve and be what they want. So it's not accidental. You're not getting that watch across the screen. You're not accidentally being influenced by whatever the superstar is holding. We are now working with your mind. And the way, if I was putting it in a nutshell, it has your mind work with you and for you rather than against you. Because many people's minds will work against them in terms of, I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. This is hard. I'm afraid. All of that is a form of, or I'd call reverse hypnosis. And what someone like myself is doing is having your mind work with you and for you. That's it, really.
Sometimes I'm sitting in a restaurant or at a cafe, or I'm walking down the street, I look at a bus stop and I'll see a group of people on their phones, right? And a lot of the times I'm that person, don't get me wrong, but I'll look at people and I'll realize that we're in this zombie state a lot of the times. And it becomes very abundantly clear to me when I see a group of people in this state. It's not necessarily just one person, because when I see one person, I say, well, this person's just going through their flow and they're trying to be productive. But when I see it on an aggregate level with a group of people, it really hits me. And, I ask myself, are we being hypnotized throughout our days? When we're getting consumed in this content. And, I have to say that with a grain of salt because, I create content too. I'm in that game too. I create it and I consume it. But at what point do we realize that, we're not actually being present in our lives and we're just being hypnotized by that billboard, by that video, by that ad, by that piece of content, by this podcast?
With Dubb, you can easily send your business videos from Gmail, LinkedIn, CRMs, and so many more places, but you don't have to take my word for it.
Absolutely perfect.
Screen records, landing pages that can really help businesses to grow.